Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, friends, I am not going to be pulling any cards in this video. We're going to have a little chat. I've just decided that it would be nice for me to address some of the questions that are asked in the comment section of my tarot readings. As you guys know, I do focus a lot of my attention on bringing you guidance and trying to bring you clarity and teach you about how to process and just gain better perspectives and have better outlooks on your situation that actually help you to move forward and to evolve. So I am a spiritual life coach, I'm a spiritual healer, and I do a lot of this teaching and one-on-one coaching with my clients, but I felt like it might be nice from time to time for me to just answer some of the questions that I see coming up for you in the comment section. Now, the one that I'm going to be looking at in this talk is about twin flames and cord cutting. Because one of my viewers, asked if it was possible to do a cord cutting with their twin flame. And I responded by saying, nope, not if it's your twin flame. And I just want to explain that there's a lot of different information out there, and obviously this is just my experience. This is my intuitive opinion. This is what I receive from my guides and keepers, and so you take it as it resonates. If it makes sense to you and it helps you, great. If it doesn't and you prefer to follow another school of thought or another opinion or your own, then go ahead and do that. What we know is constantly evolving. I know as a spiritual teacher and guide or a spiritual advisor, from the time that I decided to step into my gifting and step into my calling, you know, you sort of get into the river wherever you are, at whichever point you are, and you do the best you can. When as a medium I channel spirit, I receive visions, I receive symbols, I receive messages, you know, and vibrations. It's not like this full, it's not like you have someone standing next to you and they're giving you the message word for word, like verbatim, you know, like from beginning to end, and I'm just repeating that. No, that's not how spirit communicates. Spirit, the frequency with which spirit communicates is higher, so I have the gift to interpret that, but I've also had to learn to do that, and every medium will tell you that. It's blocks of thought, it's images, it's one or two words that comes with a feeling or an emotion or a knowing, or they take you back to a particular scenario where you had a similar experience with someone else, and you're able to put that together and to know, oh, that's what spirit is wanting to show me. And then also in relation to the energy that I'm picking up from the collective, how does it make sense? How does it fit together? So that's why I say, you know, my work is to interpret. And when I do my coaching and I do my spiritual healing, where I take my clients through a process, I take the individual's energy vibration into account, where they are and what they are telling me energetically, where they are, where their thinking is, how they feel about their situation, because in that there's already so much information for me. I know exactly whether it is a belief that hinders or that serves it a lot. So you take all the pieces together. You take the individual's energy vibration, you take where they're at, you also look into what their core desire is. Often people are not even connected to what their core desire is. They think they know what they want, but what they really want is so much deeper. So you take that into account, and you take the messages that you're receiving and you put them together in a way that makes sense. So this is the best way that I can explain what I do. And the ability to interpret that and to put all the different pieces together in a way that really serves the individual and really sheds a light on what it is you are wanting to create here, is the gift that I have, and many other mediums, and it shows up in different ways, of course, for different people. But the reason why I say that is I receive messages when a client asks me a question and I look into something and I say, well, what, Spirit brings me the message, gives me the clarity. And initially when I started and I received the messages, I could only perceive them from the basis that was my energy, my reality, where I was and how I saw the world. Through all of my humanness, the fact that I was human and I had my own stuff to work through and my own preconceived notions and my own fears and all of that. That was the filter through which I was interpreting. And it could be misunderstood. So over the years, as I've gone through my own processes of purifying and debunking and becoming a pure, clear vessel that doesn't have all of these strong beliefs and notions that then become something that I'm trying to impart upon another person, but instead to be clear, to cleanse and to clear this vessel and also this program, this system, in a way that I am able to translate the messages with more clarity from a place of love and detachment, because I'm not attached to what you believe. I don't see that where you are is right or wrong. I understand the value in where you are. Your tendency to want to make it right or wrong is ego-based, and that's normal because we need our ego here. But with time, you go through these various processes and you start to master this vessel that you use in this earthly plane, on this earthly plane, and you love it. And you learn to love it, and you learn to love your ego too, and your ego gets a break because it's not responsible for everything that happens in your life, and it's not constantly trying to keep you safe because you come to find that you are not really endangered. This happens through a process, and it happens over time, and you are all on your own journeys through doing this. But the point of what I'm wanting to say is, when we bring you messages from Spirit, it is a bit of experience because of the work that we've been doing, that I've been doing with people overall and with the Twin Flame Collective. It is a bit of experience, the wisdom that comes from my own experience, in my own Twin Flame journey. And it is a bit of who I've become through my processes of constantly evolving and going through cleansing processes, being refined and becoming more and more who I am, getting rid of all the baggage of what I thought I was. And most importantly then, it is my ability to interpret the messages and how I've been able to get clear on the language of Spirit over time, over the years. So I'm still just humbly trying to bring you and interpret to you what it is that Spirit has shown me to be true, or to be the basis of what it is that you're experiencing as a twin flame in your awakening. I am not telling you to believe what I say blindly, and I don't believe that anyone that is here on my channel would do that anyway. I know that the collective that I am connected to are very, very, everyone's special. But I mean, very connected to who you are as a soul, to source, to the universe around you. You are an uplifter, you are gifted, you want to you want to bring the best to every situation, and this comes with an automatic default where you are very hard on yourself. And when things don't go right and they don't feel right, you cannot have peace until they are, because you care. So the information that I'm wanting to give you in this talk is to help you to just decide if you would like to replace some of the existing knowledge and data that you have here in this program with updated information. There's a lot of information about cord cutting on YouTube, on the internet. Cord cutting is an ancient spiritual practice. It is known. But what does it really mean? And I always say it is important for you to understand the energy vibration of a relationship before you can know how to navigate and which steps to take next. Because we do have a tendency to decide that we put everything into boxes. That's the way we function. And when something challenges us, our tendency is to make that wrong or negative. But when we think about growth, when we think about being refined, when we think about molded, when we think about the diamond and all the pressure it takes to create that diamond over many, many years, or a crystal and what it takes to create that, or even a pearl, the process is quite intensive, and it's not void of being challenged. It's not void of that. And you are also a part of nature. Nature constantly evolves, and it goes through various processes. Okay? And even when we think about the butterfly being in the cocoon, that process is sacred. And only the butterfly knows what it was like to be in that cocoon. You and we go through these various processes of refinement, not because we're not good, but because we are here for evolution. That's why we came. We are connected to Gaia and everything in nature, and everything evolves as a result of our evolution and vice versa. So we're connected. And this is the first thing I want to bring to. So I'm just speaking as I'm guided. And I'm going to trust that as I connect to Source and I bring you the information that I am bringing, that you will receive it in a way that you can comprehend, or that it makes sense to you. And even if it doesn't make sense in the way that you can explain it to anybody else, it doesn't matter, as long as the shift and the alignment that needs to take place within you takes place as a result of the energy vibration. Okay? Because words don't teach. It's experience that teaches. Our experience is where we gain our wisdom. And you have wisdom from lifetimes that you are tapping into and that you can tap into. So, the first thing we need to consider when withholding cord cutting into, as the focus, when we consider cord cutting, the first thing we need to come to realize is that, and many of you have already been coming to, you already know this, okay, that where we used to think that we are separate from another human being, we are separate from another race group, we are separate from men and women, are completely separate, they are opposite, they do not get one another, they are different species. Human beings and the beasts of our planet, the animals, beautiful, beautiful, highly evolved beings, that they are separate from us. That the earth is just something that we inhabit, it's separate from us. And for many, many, many years, humanity thought that the earth wasn't even alive. that galaxies out there in our solar system, that they're completely separate from us. We have nothing to do with that. That the sun and the moon don't even brush past one another. They are completely separate. The sun is separate and the moon is separate, and everything in existence, there is separation. We had this separation consciousness for a really long time. And we would put individuals into boxes. What is your race? What is your status? What is your class? Are you male? Are you female? Are you married? Are you divorced? So we would put people into these boxes and we would decide who they are and essentially judge them, so that we can establish whether or not they are people that we believe are favorable to our existence or not. This separation consciousness, even in families and even in friendships and even in relationships which we value, we would have this consciousness to decide, this is your position, this is mine. This is the box you fit into, this is the box I fit into. And in every situation, especially when there was crises, stressful situations, we would automatically have the tendency to deduce between you and I who is right and who is wrong, because someone must be right for the other person to be wrong. Or someone must be wrong for the other person to be right, because we have to allocate blame. All of those are ego constructs. And separation is an illusion, beloved. We are so interconnected. We are more one than we are all of these separate beings. And when we think about source, when we think about consciousness, or that which you call God, it is not this man in the sky. We know this. It is energy. It is this collective energy, this light, this, and we can spend decades trying to label, classify, define what source is, and we will never be able to do it, because it's a knowing, and it is pure love, and it is just this energy source that have all these different fragments of energy, and yet it is one. So source is this collective, massive ball of energy. Not a ball, because even a ball can be defined. And that energy is everywhere, and that energy is love. Source is love. So, just like a toaster might be a toaster and match all of everything that defines what a toaster is, but if you cannot plug it into the wall, into the electricity source, and switch it on, it cannot toast the bread. So these bodies, this is our vessel. And some would say, well, what is really toasting the bread? Is it the electricity or is it the toaster? Well, collectively. Because one without the other, do you see? That is our relationship with Source. This vessel is like the toaster or the vacuum or whatever. You know, sometimes analogies just help us to make sense of things, because the mind cannot fully comprehend existence. Not really. And the mind's tendency is to define and to try and box and to try and establish, is this good or bad? And that's just the natural thing that it does. But we are more than our body and our mind. We are source beings, because we're streams of this collective source, which we call God. Our soul is that stream of energy, vibration, and that frequency, that energy, vibration. Our soul is energy. We are energy, and our souls are not sort of stuffed into these bodies. Our souls are everywhere around and inside, right? So if we're all connected to source, to this one stream of love, pure love and consciousness, which is source, and where there's little streams, separate streams that sort of go off and incarnate into these bodies, then is the source that makes this body function the way that we want, and the mind, the system, and everything that makes up who we are. Then it helps you to remember that we're all really connected, because we're all connected to the same source. And often you have a collective of an energy stream reincarnated into different bodies. And those make up our soulmates. That's why we recognize them. It's like the branches of the same tree. And that tree is rooted in Gaia, and Gaia is source. That's another way we can look at it to help us understand. Many of us have dreams, and we've had visions, we've had downloads of who we are and how connected we are to source, and how everything is really connected to us. But to try and explain it takes... it's not always easy, and I'm doing the best that I can for our understanding, just to sort of help us to focus into what it is that I'm going to be explaining to you with regards to cord cutting and twin flames. In the same way that we are these streams of consciousness in these bodies, we are also connected to the streams of consciousness that exist in nature and everything else around that is created. That is creation. Creation is a part of us. So when you understand this, and I know most of you do, then you will understand why I say that every person, every being, all of creation that manifests, that you get to taste, touch, feel, have conversations with, and experience in this 3D reality is a reflection of a part of you. You, as a part of consciousness, have come here to experience yourself in this delicious way, in the sensory way. Like when we meet someone and we know by the way that he or she looks at us, that they recognize our value and that they're in love with us. And many would say, well, just knowing that is everything. But we would argue, no. I want him or her to express that love to me. What does that mean? Give me the opportunity to experience it in their words, in their actions, in the way they touch me. That we can get to experience things together. Why? Because that's a sensory experience. That's why we came here. So that we can not just be full all the time, that we can go through the process and the journey of having our bellies emptied, feeling what it feels like to be hungry. That's the spaciousness that is created for when we sit down and we have that delicious meal. And we smell it first. We smell the meal. Before we even get to smell the meal, we're excited because we know we're going to have dinner with our beloved friends. And we're looking forward to it. So we're excited. There's anticipation. And then we get together. Now we can smell the meal. And already we're starting to experience it. And then we see it. And it looks delicious. So now we're experiencing it from a visual perspective. And then we get to taste it and we feel the textures and the sensations in our mouths. It's the same with our lovers. And that's why it's so difficult when I say to you, there is no such thing as separation. You should be happy in knowing that you are one, that is your union, even though you don't get to experience your twin flame in the physical, in the 3D, even though they're not by your side, even though you don't get to wake up next to them, and you don't have your lover in your bed, and you don't get to look into their eyes and have those delicious conversations that we have with our twin flames. There is no experience that is as exhilarating. Yes, there are many experiences that you will have that will be exhilarating in a different way. Twin flame experience is like a high, first blissful high that you may chase for the rest of your life, and you will never find it anywhere else. And that's why we lose our minds, because we want that forever. And the reason why we came here into this 3D reality, into this dense reality, is because we want the sensory experience of all that we are. Source wanted to experience the love that is Source through us, because we're a part of Source, in this beautiful, delicious way. Right out here on the leading edge of creation. So what comes with that is that in order to have the experience, the heightened experience of being full, we first experience the emptiness. That is the spaciousness that is created, so that we can then fill that cup that feels empty, right? And so when we come and incarnate into these bodies, right? And if you believe that my theory makes sense, that every person that we're experiencing, every tree, every animal, our familiars that come into our life experience, they're actually a part of our consciousness. We're experiencing a part of ourselves in a different way. They're coming to show us the capacity that we have and what we need and what we're asking for. It's a part of self that is manifesting to show up in that precious way for us. And we like it when it's good. But when a part of ourselves show up in a way that challenges us, and in a way that uproots our chaos, or our toxicity, or our narcissism, or whatever it is you want to label it, when we have the manifestations of relationships and versions of ourselves, because that's all they are. Now you might need some time to let this settle, because for the most part we see that person that really gets on our nerves as someone that is separate. I wouldn't behave that way. I would never treat people like that. I would never do that to anyone. For me, it is easy to see what someone's future is. Yes, because I'm psychic, but mostly, if I see that a client has a strong vibration of abandonment, that is the basis of every decision they make, because they've experienced abandonment as a couple of times as a child, and they've spent their lives trying to avoid that pain. Then I know that the only thing that they will manifest in the next relationship that comes in is abandonment. Because that is the part of yourself that you're asking so desperately to transcend. And the universe meets you right there and yields to you and brings a version of yourself, because it's easier for you to recognize what is true when it's in someone else. When it's being mirrored for you, when it shows up as another person, because ego can still say, I'd never do that. But it makes you think, and it makes you start to ask the questions. And that leads you closer and closer to your path of least resistance, which in essence leads you to your liberation, your healing. That person, relationship, situation manifests as a version of you to come and show you the part of yourself that abandons you all the time and why you do it. And you become obsessed with that person and wanting to fix them because really you're wanting to fix yourself. And then you can sit in therapy and you can sit with your friends and you can talk about how that person's toxic relationship with their mother. They so desperately want their mother's approval, and now they've become this person that is not able to be emotionally available for anyone else. And even though you're offering them all this love, they're abandoning you, and you are actually highlighting your own truth, and you don't yet know it. And as a spiritual teacher and a coach, this is what I help you to see. So you might have to chew on this a little bit, but this is what my guides have shown me. This is what Source has brought to me, and this is the reality. Separation is an illusion. We are all one, and everything that shows up in our experience is a part of ourselves, beautiful and unwanted. And the amazing thing is that when you come to realize that you are actually manifesting all of this, you're creating your own reality, you can also begin to believe that perhaps you're able to change it. Because if you're creating it, you should be able to create something else. And then in feeling so powerless with your twin flame or in any other dynamic of your life, you begin to understand that if you create a bit of space for the truth, which is not always comfortable, you activate these powerful tools and medicines that will completely transform your experience and your life. And that's the basis of what the twin flame comes to serve you as. So we have all these streams of consciousness in different bodies. Now imagine your soul, your stream of consciousness. You're such an evolved being. You've lived through thousands of lifetimes, and you've lived on other galaxies, and you've come here for the purpose of everything that's taken place now. All of the healing, changing the entire outcome of existence, and ushering us into the new earth, where we don't destroy ourselves, where we are able to exist in these dense bodies, have the experience of all the sensory, delicious, satisfying indulgence of all that we are and all that Source is with one another, these different aspects and versions of self. And at the same time be our evolved selves, our soul self, which is the bigger version of who we are. Destroy the program of the delusion of separation, the illusion of separation, of black and white and right and wrong, and realize that it's actually just a beautiful, two sides of a beautiful whole. And release the judgment and elevate into agape love, to tuning into the vibration, the pure vibration of agape love, unconditional love. We've come here to do that. And to do that, to activate our coming here to do that, which is only one of the things we've come here to do, of course. We incarnate into two bodies. One stream of consciousness incarnated into two bodies. Why? Because in order to activate agape love and to upgrade the program that is separation, we need to meet with the other part of ourselves that we have a tendency to ignore or to avoid face to face, so that it becomes real. So the inner masculine and feminine what you embody as the light being, as the essence of the healer and the illuminated one that you are. You embody into this, you incarnate into these separate bodies, but you're one consciousness, you're one soul. And you incarnate into these separate bodies because that part of you that is so deeply embedded in your DNA, in your program, that you would overlook, you need to be face to face with it so that you cannot do that. You cannot project and be ignorant and still see that everything that's happening in your life, and the reason why you struggle to find love is because everybody that you meet just are a mess, even though you're searching for it. And when you meet your twin flame, you see this version of yourself. There is no doubt that you recognize. There is a recognition that this person is a part of you. This person is a part of you. And if that's not how you feel about your twin flame, when you look at your twin flame, it's as if you can hear your thoughts running through their minds. You can read their thoughts. You look at them and it's as if you felt all of their hopes and dreams, because they are a part of you. You know that that person is a part of you, is another version of you. That is the knowing that you have. That's what you awaken to. And obviously there's so many other things. I'm just going to touch on what it is that I feel is relevant. I haven't even started with the talk yet, and I'm already almost 40 minutes into. I mean, I haven't started with my points, my specifics. But beloved, bear with me, because I don't want to bring information without any basis or any foundation, because I've been asked by clients to do talks, and I've not done them because I don't just want to be another one of those people out there that push information out and then you just grab it and make it what you want. I want you to be able to connect with what is authentic. Okay? And I believe that this is a sacred, sacred subject, and I must honor it in the best way that I can. So that is what your twin flame, that is what the basis of the connection is, you meeting a version of yourself that represents your alter ego, which is your shadow. And that's why they trigger you so much, and that's why your tendency to judge them is so much, but they are also the most beautiful part of you. Because the shadow, the other illusion has been for the longest time, and we've been awakening to this reality, is that shadow is bad and light is good. If you switch a light on in a room that is already lit, the light, you cannot see the essence and the value. But when you switch that light on, or you light that candle in a dark room, the light is what illuminates, the darkness is what illuminates the candle. Your shadow is the spaciousness that creates space to hold your light. The absence of what you perceive to be the absence of love is just the spaciousness for you to let the love in, to come and rest, and it holds that love. I always say, and you will agree with me, you cannot experience the fullness of joy if you haven't experienced grief or sadness. You cannot be happy if you don't know what it is to be sad. You cannot be present with the fullness of being fulfilled if you haven't been emptied. Because imagine a bowl that's constantly full of water, and now you're pouring this liquid love into it. What difference does it make? And we see this in humanity. People who we can look at someone and we can think, oh, they're so blessed. They've got so much to be grateful for. And because that's always been their lives, they don't see it that way. They create drama so that they can create the spaciousness, so that they can go through feeling crappy, so that when they are able to let in their blessings, they can just enjoy it once again and feel fulfilled by it. That's how we are. So the illusion that it's separate, that the shadow and the light are these two opposite aspects, and it's good and evil and all of that, it's an illusion. And our twin flame helps us to awaken to that reality. And that's the journey that you have been on now. When you understand the value and the intelligence and the highly evolved technology that we've used to come in, you know, we've had this all planned out, incarnating into two separate bodies, two mirrors images of self. Huh? The one embodies this, the other embodies that, and this one activates that, and that activates that. And the soul as a whole expands and evolves and lights up for the rest of the world. Firstly, the rest of the collective, Twinflame Collective, and then that collective lights up for the rest of the world, and everybody is tuning into unconditional love as we speak. You can see it. Relationships are not as watered down as they were. People, what we've come to do here is so beautiful, and I want you to know that even though you felt as though you've been suffering on your journey, and I know sometimes it feels like it's crazy, it's suffering, it's agonizing, you have done great things. And it doesn't matter where you are on your twin flame journey, you're exactly where you should be, and it has so much value, and you matter. And it doesn't matter how it looks, how the actions of your divine masculine or feminine, they love you. But they can only love them, they can only show you or express that love as much as they are able to love themselves. But it doesn't mean they don't love you. The love is incredible. It is source. It is source. It is everything. So, when you take that into account, it helps you to understand and to have new perspective. Because I understand that things become painful and it feels like you're going round and round in circles, often because many twin flames try and do this on their own. The Twin Flame Collective have come with those like me, who have come here, who have done this many, many times, and have come to guide you through this very difficult process. And the reason why people get stuck is because they try and do it on their own. And you are so loved. You didn't come here without support. It's up to you to let that support in, though, you know. And you've got to that's the choice you get to make, because you have free will. So when you understand that you are one soul, and you understand the value of your activation, so you meet, you're activated. And many times before meeting your twin flame, you already dream about them. You feel in your energy that you are being prepared for something amazing to come into your life. And the moment that you meet that person, there is no doubt from day one, and the world starts to spin, and the wheel of fortune, and everything that has ever been your reality, it's as if time comes into one space, and all the wheels come off. And it is the most profound, highly evolved connection that you've ever had with anyone. Everything is beautiful, it is intense, it is soul, it is source. And then the part of us which they represent, which is the alter ego, starts to kick in and do what it does. And as I say, things start to derail. The wheels start really spinning off the hook. And that's when separation comes into play, because it is a lot to deal with. And our tendency to avoid, our shadow, kicks in. And we want to run or push. So when you ask me, would a cord cutting help? With everything that I've said to you already, I know that you have the understanding and you have the answer to this. But I'm still going to go through the conversation. I'm still going to go through my talk, and I'm still going to explain and elaborate with specific points. First, I want to go through a few signs that you do have energetic cords, right? Now, with the twin flame connection, it is unlike anything you've ever experienced. From the moment that you meet that person, it's as if nothing and no one else exists to you and to them. The two of you want to spend every moment together. You finish one another's sentences. You read one another's minds. You show up in meditation, one another's meditations. You have these physical reactions. It's not only energetic, physical reactions. Your body starts to react in ways that you didn't even know were possible. You experience yourself in a profound way. You start recognizing past lifetimes together. It is unmistakable. And everyone that witnesses it comments on it. They don't know what to call it. But they are moved. Anyone that comes into that energy is affected by it and changed in some dynamic way. Then the separation takes place, and often it doesn't make sense because it doesn't have to. It's an ego. It's a response to ego constructs coming into wanting to take over, and it's a highly evolved connection. So when the ego comes into play, it's not going to be there. It's going to move. The separation comes into play because you've got to evolve or get kicked out, or get blown off into the bushes. That's it. There's no compromise. Evolve or get blown off into the bushes. And separation is part of the process. Then you go through actually feeling like you lose your mind. It would be diagnosed as some sort of mental, if you go to a psychologist, you're obsessive, you are losing your mind, you cannot sleep, you cannot eat, you feel sick, you think that you are going to be committed into a mental institution, or you are going to actually physically just die or something. It's intense. You cannot mistake it. The obsessive thoughts. It's all you can talk about. It's all you can think about. Leads you here where you come and watch tarot readings. Because you're looking for answers. You don't know what's going on with you. So it's pretty obvious. But let's just go through a few of the signs that you do have energetic cords, right? You're obsessive, as I said. You can't stop thinking about the person. You can't think about anything else. Every subject that comes up always leads back to that. You talk about them all the time to everyone. You're constantly searching for answers on YouTube. You are obsessive. There's no other way to put it. Doesn't matter how many people say to you, you need to get off the subject, you need to focus on other things. You cannot. You feel like you cannot focus on anything other than this person, and to figure out what the hell is going on. You know that when my twin flame and I went to separation, I didn't leave a particular couch probably for months. I think it was only after 2 months, 2 or 3 months, it was a long time, I would lay on that couch and I would search, and I couldn't move. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to wash my hair. Another sign that you have cords is that, now what is a cord? Okay, let me just finish the signs first before I jump to that. You have imaginary conversations and arguments with this person that causes emotional distress. It's emotionally distressing. You're having conversations with them, even though they're not there. You're going back and replaying what happened and what the person said to you and what you said and what you wish you said different and what would you say now and stuff like that. And another sign is that the person may no longer be an active part of your life, but you seem to be reliving the relationship dynamic or the momentum of it over and over and over. So even though you try and move on after a while, the energy of that relationship and what happened and how betrayed you felt, or how whatever it is that you felt, keeps getting replayed over and over. It's like you keep re-experiencing the same things. You can't shake it, because you've calibrated so much to the vibration of those things that caused you pain, and to what you consider to have defined that connection. It keeps showing up because you need to move through it. You cannot run away from it. So whether it's betrayal, abuse, abandonment, codependence, or just feeling rejected, it keeps showing up. Another sign is that the person appears in your dreams. Okay, so you will have dreams about them, synchronicities. They will pop up everywhere. You'll see their name popping up all over and stuff like that. Also, you will feel drained because the connection contains unresolved issues and traumas for you. But it's not the connection. It is what already exists within you as your pain body, and it has activated that. And now, remember, our tendency is to blame someone, so that person becomes the one that we allocate blame to. And part of our twin flame awakening is to deactivate those old programs and to rise above the need to blame and to see it for what it is. It's my pain body, and my divine masculine or feminine has simply come to illuminate and shine a light on it so that it can be healed, transformed, so I can move through those barriers and let real love into my life. You can't forget, and you definitely can't forgive. You feel resentment. Okay? And then another sign is that you cannot get them out of your life. Even if the person is not physically present, they're just always there. And not in a good way, right? But you feel desperate. You feel desperate to either have them here or to get them out of your life, and you can't. You feel stuck because that is not the process. Okay? So now, what is a cord? What is an energetic cord? Because the viewer asked, would cord cutting help? So what is an energetic cord? It's just that. You're a stream of consciousness, right? And you should consider another person to be a stream of consciousness. And between you, there is an energetic cord because you're attached energetically, because of the attachment that either the contract, if you want to call it that the relationship has, or the attachments that you have placed upon the relationship, how you've defined it. And sometimes working through changing those definitions releases the contract, the cord, okay? And other times, completing the karmic cycle, whatever your purpose is for being in one another's lives, releases it, okay? But when it comes to a twin flame, it's not these two separate beings with these two separate streams of consciousness having a cord between them, because you're one soul. So there's no cord. There is no cord. There is no cord between you and your twin flame. It is not a soul that's been severed in half and has gone. You are one soul. You are connected. You are woven together eternally. You are one consciousness. You are one soul. So there's no cord between you two, cut. And when you think, the only reason why you would, the idea that there is a cord between you and your twin flame comes from the separation consciousness, and that's the first thing you've got to work through, beloved, because we're in a new age now. That old program no longer exists. We understand connection now. There's no more the separation consciousness. Separation consciousness is old news. So you've got to let that go, so that you can keep up with the times and the frequency. Remember, when you've got to elevate with the frequency. Otherwise, you put excessive strain on this body and on this system, because this is your computer box here. The system, has been upgraded. Now you're still trying to work on the new system the way you did on the old system, and it's not working, and you're getting frustrated. Okay, so there is no cord between you and your twin flame. The way that Spirit showed to me is you are one. Okay. And that is the first myth that we need to address, is that there's no cord. A cord between twin flames is a myth. You are one soul. Okay. Your twin flame is your perfect mirror. In the same way that every other person that shows up in your life is just a manifestation of different aspects of self, and you're getting to experience yourself. Your twin flame is the perfect mirror, more intense and better than any of those would ever be for you on your journey of awakening to achieve what it is we've come to achieve as a collective twin flame, which we have. We've achieved it. That's why we are where we are now. And sometimes it takes time to catch up with the evolution, but the evolution has taken place as a collective. Okay? So that is the first myth. And the obsessive thoughts about the person and why they did what they did and why they behaved the way they did and how upset you are is really the reason why you keep having those obsessive thoughts, is because your soul keeps wanting to bring you back to how you've been triggered. And you keep projecting it onto this person that you believe is separate from you over there, doing things that you would never do. When you do the mirror exercise and you start seeing it as yourself reflected back to you, that's when you can move through the illusions by using the medicine, which is unconditional love, tuning into source energy, unconditional love alignment. Then doing the mirror process, moving through it and transcending it. Your obsession eases because you're moving through it. Every time the trigger comes up that makes you think obsessively, you do the same process and you move through it. The imaginary conversations that you think you are having, that is also a myth. They are not imaginary, because you do have telepathic communications. And that inner war that is taking place is happening here within you. So the conversations and the arguments you are having here between you and your twin flame, who you believe is separate from you, is really about the relationship between you and you. And those conversations are highlighting the opportunity for you to shift the perspective of how you're approaching the conversation to one that is more loving and elevated and helps you transcend. There is no separation with twin flames, because even though the physical bodies walk on separate paths on this earthly plane, we are always connected. The twin flame is always here with you, in the relationship between you and you, I and self, okay, or inner masculine and inner feminine. The reason why you feel drained is not because that person is drawing your energy, no, it's because you're sending your energy out to them, because your focus is out there and not here. And the more you send energy to them, because you make them the reason for all your unhappiness and for all the problems and for everything that went wrong, the more you push them away, because the energy pushes and doesn't attract. When you bring all that energy here and you start to master the transcendence and allowing it to become pure alignment, unconditional love, you attract your twin flame, because this is where it belongs, that version of yourself, not out there being judged and being ridiculed and being the reason for all your unhappiness. Okay. So a cord only exists between two separate entities. You and your twin flame are not, unless you are not in a real twin flame connection, and it is important for you to have someone who can read energy confirm that for you, with you, not to tell you what to believe, but to facilitate the revelation of what is true through obviously using wisdom, experience, and understanding. Every relationship has an energy vibration, just like people can read auras. Someone that can read an aura is going to see the color, vibration, the frequency for what it is. So someone that reads energy is the same thing, but just different. When I read you the energy of your relationship, I can tell you what it is, how we define it, and what the purpose of that relationship is for you. But that's the first thing you need to establish, because you're not going to know how to navigate something. For example, you can jump into a vehicle and you can drive on any road, but you need to know what sort of road you are on to know how to navigate the road. You're going to have a different speed, and you're going to have a different driving skill and focus on a rural road or a highway or a freeway. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's the first thing you need to understand. So you're not separate, you are one person. So now if I were to say to you, this arm needs your love, this arm is causing you pain, this arm is sore because your soul is communicating, bringing you a message that's going to help you to progress and help you to be happier and to experience the love and yourself in the fullness that you've come here to experience. Are you just going to go somewhere and have your arm cut off? Because I'm sure we've evolved way beyond that sort of barbaric way of processing to just get rid of what makes us comfortable. No, you're going to ask me, well, is there something I can do before I go and have it removed? Because if there's a message, then I want to know what the message is, because once I know what sort of guidance my soul is wanting to give me through this discomfort, then the discomfort will probably not be there anymore, because then I receive the message and I know what to do with that. Same thing with your twin flame. They're a part of you. You do not want to sever the connection, because their value is so much greater than the discomfort that you're experiencing. Okay. And that is why cord cutting is more harmful than anything else and doesn't work. I don't care how powerful you think you are as a you know, I don't care how skilled you think you are in the art or the craft or with healing or with energy work. We were already fragmented. And the part of this process is to help to bring us together so that we can be whole. Severing or trying to create separation or sever the connection goes completely against what it is you're wanting to achieve here, which is individuation, which is bringing all the different parts of yourself together so that you can be whole, so that you can be in your power and the authentic full version of all that you are, and so that you can bring the energy, vibration, and the essence of that fullness of who you are to the rest of the collective, because that's how we benefit. Now imagine the various archetypes, okay, for those of you who are familiar with archetypes, we all have a few archetypes. Or imagine your various characteristics, or imagine the various hats you wear. So if someone were to ask you, who are you? I'm a mom, or I'm a daughter, and I'm a doctor, and I'm a this. Okay, so I am a teacher, I am a psychic, I am a mom, I am a daughter, I am a friend, I am a this, that, I'm a tree, I'm connected to the tree spirit, I am a this, I'm a that, I'm a spiritual guide, blah. I can give you a whole long list, right? All of those hats that I wear, those are personas, right? And some of them don't even go together with some people. It doesn't matter. Those are the different layers of who you are. I embody an inner masculine and feminine. I embody the inner sage, all of those things. So we spend, part of our spiritual journey is to bring all of those fragmented pieces of who we are together into harmony, into harmonious existence. And your twin flame is a part of you that shows up in the physical body that they have incarnated into. So the soul that is the twin flame is you. You are one. You are two minds and two bodies, but you are one. And I think that all of everything that I've explained has or the message that I brought through to you has given you clarity, and it's the best way that I can explain. I feel like there is anything else I'm going to say is just going to be repeating. So what you might ask is, what do I do? So if I can't, if we won and cord cutting is not an option, what do I do then? Because I'm in pain. And I'm willing to do anything to feel better. If you were to consider for a moment that your entire existence is like a web woven by the spider, right? Threads, all these different threads, and they're woven together perfectly to be able to catch in that web whatever it is that you want so that you can have a fulfilled experience. Then instead of cutting those cords or strands, what you can do is to clear cords where there might be a fabric or a strand that is dense with residue from toxic residue or pain, or it's dense with pain, or it's dense with trauma. It doesn't mean that the strand is of no value. The strand is still a part of what has been woven. If you pull one strand out, everything comes apart. But you have the ability to clear the cords, which is the strands that are woven into the quilt that is you, or the web that is you. Whatever you are able to envision, go with that, whatever spirit shows you. So instead of fraying or trying to pull out strands that you don't like, you have the ability to clear those strands or to strengthen them, strengthen the weaves, strengthen the threads. And that's where your power comes into play, because you are a healer. You are the most powerful magician in your life and your reality that will ever exist. You have the gifts and the abilities to do these things. Shift your focus from the specifics, the details, and from the persona, and instead focus on the attachment that the relationship is highlighting for you. So what's happening in relation to your twin flame, what is at the basis of what is upsetting you there? Perhaps it's feeling unseen or unheard. So you focus, you shift your focus from the details. I don't like the way I'm being treated. Why is this person doing that? People shouldn't do that. Shift your focus from that to I feel unseen. And start from there. Your divine connection represents a part of your soul. And your soul wants to give you the opportunity to heal that, or to look into why you are invisible in the experience with yourself, in your life experience, which is what I explained at the beginning of the talk. Separation is an illusion. So see it as a part of me is highlighting to me that in my focus on a day-to-day basis, I feel invisible. A part of me feels invisible because my focus is more on what's happening out there than to really focus on and see what is happening with me. In coaching, obviously for each person it's different things that come through, and I would highlight that in the way that what your soul's telling me the message is, and you will generally know, yeah, that makes sense, because it's going to resonate with you. It's your energy. Your soul is, your energy is saying this is what's happening. It's just that your mind can't often comprehend or interpret what's going on here. Perfection is not real. Okay? So you might want to go back and just list these points so that you know how this will help you to process and to shift your focus when it comes to how you want to clear cords. Okay, so as I said, the first thing is you shift your focus from the persona, the person, the things and the actions and the specifics. And you focus on what is at the core of this trigger. What is it that's being triggered here? I feel unseen, or I feel unloved. I feel unattractive. I feel like second option. Those things really hurt, and they're deeply embedded in us when that's what is active in our vibration, and it comes way before we even met our twin flame. So that becomes the focus. And then what is it that my soul, that part of me that is my twin flame, what is it that part of my soul, me, wants me to focus on? The fact that I feel that I am not worthy to be a priority. That's where your work begins. Focus instead on that. Your divine counterpart represents a part of your soul. Perfection is not real. And that's why we call it unconditional love. Why do you think we're reaching for unconditional love? It is love despite the conditions. It is love despite the conditions. Perfection leans into a concept that all of the conditions, the actions, the words, the things that the person says and does and is perfect, is always right, which leads us back to the separation consciousness, right or wrong. There is no right or wrong, beloved. Also takes us back to then judgment, because to make something right or wrong requires judgment, critical focus. I'm focusing on you from a place critically, not from unconditional love. Recognize how powerless you feel and see how the experience offers you the illumination of self to liberate who you are. To liberate yourself from those old programs, those old paradigms, those ego constructs. And now when you watch this talk and you watch a twin flame reading of mine, and I teach during my readings, you'll understand what I mean when I mention certain terms. Also, where the cord feels fragile, how can you strengthen it? Not cut it. Where the cord feels fragile, how can I strengthen it, Elif? There are ways. And there are many, many ways. There are many pathways that lead to the same destination. And that would depend on where you are. and what would be the easiest method for you that will bring you the best results. Processes that so first and foremost, as I said, there are tools and there are guides that are here for you to help you through this. That is work that I do, and you are welcome to contact me to help you through this process. If you now have a better understanding of how important it is and how it speaks to the love that you have for yourself when you allow yourself to receive support, you know. But if you still feel that you'd rather do this on your own, these are some processes that you can implement. The mirroring process, as I said, where you don't see your person as separate, you see them as looking in the mirror. And what you see in the mirror is actually what is dominant within you. And that is, if you say to yourself, I think he should do this, or he should have made a different choice, he should have been kinder to me, then there's your answer. You need to be kinder to yourself. What would you expect him to do to you or for you, or how would you expect him or her to behave in relation to you? Start behaving that way in your relationship with yourself. That's mirror process. I'm simplifying it, but I mean I've already gone into this talk really long. Recalibrate the triggers, which is what I touched on a little bit early on. Okay, where are the strengths, the fragiles? The strands are fragile here. When it comes to self-worth, that strand is very fragile. So how do we strengthen that? Another thing my divine masculine is showing is codependence. So trusting self, confidence, supporting self, that cord is fragile. Being free thinking, a little bit fragile there too. So that's where you start to recalibrate on those subjects. What are my beliefs regarding this, and how can I replace them with better beliefs, perhaps affirmations, perhaps better ways of doing things? Rewrite the script. So the way that your story is going with your twin flame is actually what's happening in your relationship with yourself. So rewrite it, change it. The detail, what you don't like happening in the specifics of your now reality. Write, journal, and write a different story of how you would prefer for it to be, for it to turn out. And start to meditate on that script. Start to visualize and focus into that and experience it as real, because energetically it exists on the other side of this mirror that we call reality. On the one end of the stick, you might have lack and it might be looking like a disaster, but that means that on the other end of the stick, you've got the exact polar opposite, but it's positive. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So rewriting the script and spending time with that, rewriting the story, telling a different story, or not talking about it if you can't say something positive. Okay, commit to your awakening process. Commit the money, the time, the effort. It is worth it. You are worth it. Stop searching for answers to clarify what you believe and start tuning into the solutions right before you, even though it is uncomfortable. Okay? So those are some of the processes that help. Daily affirmations, love, in relation to love and self-worth, because remember, it is ultimately a journey between you. It's about you and you. It's not about you and some other person outside of yourself. Your divine masculine is symbolic of you. Morning meditations are also a great help, very, very important. Morning meditations which focus on appreciations would help. It'll help you to focus on what you do have and not be obsessive about what is missing, because then you keep recreating that and you don't know why the cycle's not closing and things are not moving in a positive direction. Okay? Another thing you can do is write down 10 things that you love about yourself in your journal, 10 things you love about your twin flame awakening, and 10 things you love about your divine counterpart. Practice these few steps daily. especially the affirmations, the morning meditation, and the 10 things, where you basically reread them and you recite them to yourself and you feel into them. Practice daily for as many days as is equivalent to your age. So if you're 22, practice for 22 days. That's just what Spirit has guided me towards encouraging you to do. If you're 31, practice for 31 days. So according to your age. These are the processes that I can advise for you to do at home, and I really hope that they help. If you're still here with me at the end of this very lengthy talk, I love you so much. I appreciate you, and I believe that this talk benefits you because it is from absolute love. Source loves you, and if you enjoyed this talk and you'd like me to do more of these, perhaps cord cuttings with other connections, or explaining other connections to you, like what is a karmic soulmate, what is a soulmate, and just other topics that I think stand out in the comments, because sometimes people do ask questions, or even in this comment section, if you'd like me to talk about something, perhaps answer a question of yours, just put it in the comment section and I will consider doing that every now and then and posting it on my channel. Just let me know if you like this, and I will do it. I will do it for you guys. I love you guys so much. You are beautiful. You are amazing. Thank you so much to the Twin Flame Collective. What you have done in just being who you are and going through the motions of everything that you've experienced has been such an act of love for the collective, and it has had such a beautiful positive effect on humanity and on the earth, and it is worth it, and it matters even if it feels like it's a big mess for you right now. Love and light. As I said, if you would like to go through a healing process, or to go through a coaching process with me, for me to help you through this process and through your awakening, you're welcome to contact. My email address is in the description box below. Comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Love and light to you, and I will see you next time. Bye now.